Get up.
Welcome back to Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. Today, we're celebrating because we hit the magical 1K mark.
Woo!
I brought Nelle back. That's Nelle.
From the dead.
Nelle has been a huge part of this channel. If you just go back and look at older videos, you will see her in literally every single one of them. And Nelle has started her own channel, Book Hunt, in order to
run away from you.
So today we're doing a very traditional
Q&A.
Nelle has the questions. She's going to read them. I'm going to answer them. And then she's probably going to mock me for whatever I say.
It's pretty normal.
First, Nelle, you're looking very toasty in that blanket couture there.
Yeah, you can't have it.
Blankets are awesome, but I have something better than a blanket.
No, you don't.
It's soft, warm, comfy. That's right. I got me an Oodie.
An Oodie?
An Oodie.
An Oodie!
And using a magic trick I learnt from TikTok, now I'm wearing it. It's so toasty, it's even breathable, and it's completely vegan. And I don't get to keep it, do I?
That's better.
But it was so soft.
And cozy. And they're massive. So they're appropriate for all shapes and sizes. I was really scared that this wouldn't be big enough for me, but it's huge and floppy. And now every time I wear my hoodie, not just be warm on the outside, but on the inside.
Why is that?
Because you love me enough to give me an Oodie.
And if you go to the Oodie website, link in the show notes, and use the code ScottB35, that's this link up here, you can get $35 off your Oodie.
Ooh.
So instead of getting just one Oodie, you can get two. One for your wife and one for yourself.
I wonder if 2 Oodies are warmer than 1 Oodie.
What?
That's okay. 1 Oodie is more than cozy enough.
What's next? Who asked the first question?
My reading life.
Heidi.
What is the best non-fiction book you've ever read?
I think the best non-fiction ever book I've read is Christina Lamb's My Body, Their Battlefields. That is just such a devastating, emotional, moving book. That's about how rape is used
As a weapon.
as a weapon of war, and the section on the Congo is...
Extra gross?
Oh my God. There are things that you can think of that are gross, that you would never do, but are that gross. And then that book was like, no, that has never occurred to me as something disgusting that you could do to another person.
Yeah, okay. From Jennifer Loves Books, we've got several questions.
Ooh.
Which author, dead or alive, would you choose to write the fictionalized story of your life? What genre would it be, and what would it be called? That's question 1.
Everybody's going to expect me to say Thomas Hardy, but what masochist would do that to themselves?
I have met you.
No, I'm not.
But what genre are you going to be? I think you got to start with that.
What's those trashy genres where the women all have bare shoulders and the men all have bare chests and there's usually a horse?
Some kind of pirate porn.
Yeah. No, maybe I do comedy. Maybe PG Wodehouse.
Yes.
PG Wodehouse, because you're safe with Wodehouse, because the worst thing that can ever happen is an auntie will be upset at you.
Or you will have to get married.
Or you'll have to get married to a woman that you like, but your friend likes more, and that's not the honourable thing to do. Pip, pip. What was the third part of the question?
What would it be called?
Scott has a boring life.
I hope so. What hobbies do you have other than reading?
That question is told in the form of a lie.
Yeah. What's your favourite cake?
I really like either carrot cake or hummingbird cake, which is basically the same. Hummingbird cake is carrot cake with pineapple added to it, which is awesome.
From Remembered Reads, what is your editing production philosophy / approach?
Give yourself a mental breakdown every video.
I legit think that's actually true.
So I have about 15 videos that I am planning at any one time simultaneously. Not all videos will ever get made. I start off by creating some sort of structure, and then I decide whether I'm going to script the video or not. Most book reviews are completely scripted, and I think that that's really obvious if you watch them. There's no way that I am that intelligent. Not saying that they're particularly intelligent, just saying that I'm definitely more intelligent when I think about it than I am off the cuff.
You're certainly funnier.
And I think that is certainly quicker, aren't I?
Yeah,
Jeez. It took a bit to get through. Then there is the editing process. I think the scripting is the longest bit, honestly.
I don't. And it's certainly not the sweariest.
The editing process, when it goes well, is fine. And when it doesn't, it's horrible. And it is often horrible. I use Filmora. First thing I do is turn the volume up so that it is loud enough, because I hate videos with low volume. Then I put it through the silence detector to get rid of the silence. Then I cut out all the little bits that I don't want, and I play with the crops and do the zoom in and the special effects and write anything that I want to write and
some
stuff.
funny GIFs and
yeah. And Filmora has those GIFs in it, so you don't really need to search. All you need to do is download some book covers. I don't believe in holding up my books because 75 to 95% of them are
audiobooks
or ebooks.
Lindy's Magpie Reads. If you had the time and energy for another non-book related YouTube channel, what would it be about?
Well, we actually do have another non-book related channel, but we don't ever post to it.
Yeah.
Nelle and I created a quiz channel about a month ago, and it has one quiz up. And that took not that much work, and we would do a quiz a day, and this channel will be popping and it will make us heaps of money, and no. But I think I would really, really, if I had enough money to never work again and could just dedicate time to this, I really would love to do a channel all about conspiracy theories.
Oh, you so would.
And research all of these conspiracy theories and see which ones are plausible and which ones... Yeah.
I would not watch that YouTube channel. It would make me crazy.
I just think that they're so divisive, and I don't think that they should be. Some of them are clearly nuts, and some of them are actually proven to be true. And I just think that approaching them with an investigative mind would be interesting. Okay.
Charlie Brooke has questions.
Yes.
If you could meet an author from any point in time, who would you pick and why?
I think that the answer to this has to be Voltaire, because of course it does. Voltaire is literally the funniest person ever. If you just want to spend a good few hours laughing, just search for, in Google, Voltaire quotes and read them. He's misanthropic, he hates governments, he hates people, he hates kings, and he just is generally cynical and angry.
He's a grumpy old man.
Yeah, and
it's like you.
It's like David Mitchell, but French and more talented.
I mean, that's not hard. You and Nelle have the best humour. Thanks. Oh, who are your comedy heroes? Bob and Katie books don't count.
I go through phases with comedy that I like.
Yeah, but there are always Sarah Millikins and Hannah Gadsby's.
I like Hannah Gadsby, but I don't think she's ever been top of the pile for me.
She's so funny.
She's very funny. Sarah Millican has been top of the pile. I also have really gone through a Catherine Ryan stage about 12 months ago. She is absolutely hilarious. Previously, I've been through Dylan Moran, who did Black Books. He was
funny for 5 minutes.
He was funny. When I was a kid, Monty Python and Red Dwarf. These are all Brits. There are funny Australians as well. Demi Lardner is absolutely hilarious. And I don't think that she's made it overseas. So I'll include something in the show notes.
Yeah, and who's that?
But you need to watch her until you find the asparagus joke. Once you've heard the asparagus joke, she has peaked.
Oh, it's so funny. Oh, there's so many though. And we're in Melbourne, so we get the comedy festival here every year.
Yeah, which is the second biggest comedy festival in the world after Edinburgh.
Yeah.
And I really like Louisa Omberland.
Oh yeah.
She's hilarious.
Yes. Leo Bancroft. Question. If you could interview 3 authors, living or dead, on your channel, who would they be?
All at the same time or one-on-one?
Oh, no, all at the same time. It's panel discussion. 3 authors. I've got such a good idea for this.
3 authors all at the same time, panel discussion.
Yeah.
You've got a good idea. Oh, go.
Yeah, J.K. and then the biggest, scariest trans people alive, just to make her terrified.
Like, who are the biggest, scariest?
I don't know, but I think Jackie S. Who was it? Thomas Page, the boxer, trans man,
the amateur.
Yeah. And they can just tell her what for.
I feel like that's meaner to
the trans people.
Yeah, I feel like if you wanted to be mean to Turfling, you should get like Ernest Hemingway on.
No, because that would be mean to me.
That's true. You would have to listen to Hemingway.
Yes.
I think I would just pick like my
super fascinating people.
Just favourites. I think it would be off brand for me not to say Thomas Hardy. Yeah. I think I'm really enjoying Ruth Ozecki's writing.
Yes.
And the other one would be depending on the day, it'd be Alexander Dumas or George Eliot, depending on.
Oh, okay. Lots of dead people. Booktube with Amy. Hi, Amy! When are you coming to Scotland to visit? Yeah, when are you taking me to Scotland to visit, Amy?
When I have some money.
Okay, so never. You'll have to come here, Amy.
I wouldn't mind emigrating to Scotland, to be honest, although
we don't have to save for like a 2-way ticket. Just you, me, and the dog on the plane.
I reckon I'd get to Scotland and go, all the things I hate about Australia, I hate about Scotland too.
Yeah. What's the worst book you've read because of Booktube?
Because of Booktube.
Oh, that's a hard call.
That is hard. I read Zombie Porn, but that wasn't the worst book. Surely I've read worse than Zombie Porn.
Oh, yeah, you read that stupid Booth book.
That book was completely inept. I think that I'm going to say Norman Mailer, The Executioner's Song.
Oh.
This was one that Nelle picked for me to do as part of a video that we were making. If you want to talk about problematic authors, that I didn't know he was problematic until after I read him. But if you want to talk about problematic authors, I do think that Norman Mailer should be number 1 on your list. And when you think about what other authors have done, I just think stabbing your wife at a party in front of everybody and then saying that she had it coming and then coercing the entire literary world to let you get off with that and not spend any time in jail and forcing her to stay married to you and stuff is...
Yeah, that doesn't sound nice.
Yeah, with a penknife. She nearly died. And he said after he stabbed her, let the bitch die. Although William Burroughs shot his wife and actually killed her, so...
Stop hurting your wives, you stupid old pricks.
But anyway, The Executioner's Song, I'm just talking about how shit he is as a human being. He's shit as a writer as well.
Oh.
Legitimately terrible. I think that the thing that really just got me just to how bad this book was is it's like one of the chunkiest books I've ever read. And he literally lifted text from earlier in the book and placed it later in the book. He repeated word for word verbatim text that
chunks.
Yeah, and I was just like, dude, I've read this already. I don't say it a different way if you want to
repeat yourself.
Yeah, ridiculously lazy. No respect for anybody.
Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Which book that you hated was your favourite to review?
I really enjoyed reviewing American Psycho. That is the first video that I ever did that I was like, I had an idea and I was proud of it, and it's not anywhere near the quality that I do now, I think, but I really I got some jokes in and
it was fun.
It was fun. It was the first time I realised that Booktube was more than tags and TBRs.
Yeah. If you could only keep 5 books for the rest of your life, what would they be and why? Would you pick rereads or risk books you've not read yet?
This is hard because it's only 5 and you have to pick something for all seasons. I would have to pick Middlemarch and The Count of Monte Cristo. Both those books are chunky. Both those books are satisfying in completely different ways. I feel like they satisfy the yin and the yang of my reading soul. I would legitimately be happy to read them a lot. The other 3 books are really hard. I'm going to be a little bit controversial here. I'm going to pick Wuthering Heights as a book, which is, again, it's a reread. I have never rated Wuthering Heights 5 stars, but I think that Emily Bronte has written a book that you could actually reread 20 times and get more out of. I think that this like nesting of unreliable narrators, where you've got an unreliable narrator repeating the story of an unreliable narrator repeating the story of an unreliable narrator.
Oh, yeah.
So you're trying to figure out who is lying and has it like even reversed itself back to the truth.
Yeah.
I think that would be really good. And then I think I would literally have to have a couple of newer books that I haven't read.
How would you pick them? Pick them by reliable authors? Or?
Yeah, I think I would pick a Ruth Lezecki book because she is amazing. Oh, and I don't have a Thomas Hardy down. I think I would just put Tess of the D'Urbervilles. So I think I would pick... I haven't finished reading Ruth Lezecki's back catalogue. I think I would literally just go onto Storygraph and see what has the highest star rating of the Ruth Lezecki books I haven't finished. And if they're significantly lower than what I have, then I would probably pick My Year of Meats because it's the one I have read the longest ago, which Nelle has a review out on her channel just now.
Yeah, it's a good book.
So there we go. That's my answers.
Spread Book Joy. I love your Challenging My Assumptions series and your reading challenges. What has been the most surprising discovery of yours since being on Booktube? And what other niche genres are you curious to investigate?
I think that I'm not going to do genres. I am going to do some more Challenging My Assumptions, but I think the next one I'm going to do will either be plays or poetry.
Ooh, poetry. Do poetry.
Yeah, we'll see.
I will argue about that later.
It might be short stories. I think so.
Short stories are good.
I'm going to try something a little bit different. The most surprising discovery in my experiments. I don't know if this is particularly surprising, but I find it really surprising. Each year, the Booker Prize and the Women's Prize select different judges and are very vague about their criteria for what books get selected.
Yeah.
Without fail, the Women's Prize long list is much more enjoyable to read than the Booker Prize long list, right?
I
think that probably goes into something else that I've discovered, in that I legitimately prefer women authors to men authors. I know I have that preference. I don't know why that preference... I kind of do know why that preference exists, but I don't know why that is the way it is on a... why women write with that style more than men.
Because we're more awesome.
But yeah, I legitimately prefer women authors to men, which is probably why I find the Women's Prize better than the Booker Prize.
Because women are better. Yeah, that's what I heard. Biblioghoul, number 1. If you could be one fictional character for a day, who would you choose?
At the risk of repeating books I've already done. Edmund Dante after he gets out of the Shadow Diff.
Favourite memory related to food?
Nell and I went to France on our honeymoon. We went to Paris, and there is so much good food in Paris. But Nell wanted to cook one day because instead of staying in a hotel, we sort of rented an apartment.
Yeah, we did an Airbnb.
They had pots and pans there, and when we walked past this like market thing. And so she brought fresh pasta and butter and olives and onions and this and those fancy mushrooms that they had in season at the time.
Chanterelles.
Nell can cook.
Yeah.
Nell doesn't cook very often, but when she does cook, it's like...
fancy.
You know those authors that like take 8 years, like Donna Tartt sort of length to write a book? Nonna.
Yeah.
Nell is the Donna Tartt of the cooking world.
I hope I don't take 8 years to cook dinner, but I do like to cook. And that wasn't particularly good. It had very good base ingredients. That butter that I used to make it was like a burnt butter sauce.
Yeah.
That was the best butter I've ever eaten. It was so good.
I'm literally remembering the meal, and I feel like there's an experience that goes along with this, but like it was a particularly cool point in our life. We'd just been married. We were in Paris.
Good memory.
Yeah, we were calling it our money hoon the whole time. Being away on holidays is always joyful. I love going to a city I'd never been to before and discovering it. And
Movie scene in Notre Dame from our kitchen window.
And Paris is just, if you like food, you need to go to Paris. It's just...
Yeah, all the food is exciting. The bread is ridiculous.
Everything is just better than it is where you live.
Number 3, a weird movie you love.
I am not a movie fan.
Scott is a movie grump.
I am a movie snob.
Grump. He just doesn't like them.
I think that the problem's actually me. Since I've really gotten into books, you realise that there's thrillers and there's romances and there's literary fiction and there's YA and all of this. But with movies, you don't ever... I just never realised that there were different...
genres of movie.
Well, I did. I understood that a Bruce Willis movie was different to a Will Ferrell movie.
Yeah.
But I never felt like there were movies made for me, whereas there have always been books made for me. So I really struggled with it. And I often say that there are only 20 good movies, and people will...
The number shrinks every time he says it too.
People will go, what about this one? What about this one? No. Star Wars wasn't good. I'm sorry. And...
Yeah. How many times have you watched Star Wars?
Less than 2. That's true. I've watched episode 1. That's enough. Okay, I've never watched Star Wars. I think that, and this is very much a teenaged Scott, but I really liked Donnie Darko when I was a teenager.
Yeah, so did I.
And I wonder if I would still like that as an adult, but...
I would be interested because we watched, what's that stupid movie, Inception, when it came out, and you thought that was awesome.
I did like Christopher Nolan's for a bit, but...
I would be interested to rewatch that and see if you still thought it was cool, because I reckon it would be... I don't think it would stand up.
Yeah. What was the other one that Christopher Nolan did was better, though? The Jessica Biel and The Ghost and Ed Norton. They came out at the same time as The Illusionist or something?
Yeah, The Illusionist.
That was much better.
And Mackenzie Kate.
I
just have to find it again.
Who is a great channel that I don't think that many people are watching. Go check her out. Actually, a lot of these channels are great channels that you should check out.
What book would you recommend everyone to read?
Middlemarch. Go read Middlemarch. I know, I am really repeating myself.
And the book that has stuck with you emotionally for the longest?
Middlemarch.
Okay.
No, I can do better than that.
A Fine Balance?
A Fine Balance is an excellent book. A Fine Balance, I think Count of Monte Cristo is 1, Middlemarch is 2 for me, give or take. Sometimes they change. But A Fine Balance is number 3 on my all-time. And after that, I don't think I rank. I think Middlemarch really has stuck with me emotionally. I can see a lot of my flaws in some of the characters in Middlemarch. George Eliot writing with empathy towards the flaws that you have is really powerful, but not in the same way that I normally like emotional books. Yeah. So I'm gonna stick with him. This is really just Scott recommends Middlemarch and the Count of Monte Cristo. Kevy
wants to know, who are your favourite Rue girls?
I think that it would be morally reprehensible at this point in time with RuPaul not to say Jinx Monsoon as one of your favourites.
Yes, and who else?
I have always really enjoyed Jinx's best friend, Ben de la Creme. She is hilarious. Alaska has always been one of my absolute favourites. At the moment, Nelle and I are rewatching season 12.
Yeah, we're up to 12.
And Gigi Good is so funny. And
Jackie Cox.
I like Jackie Cox too.
So many of them.
Bob the Drag Queen. I love Bob the Drag Queen. Eureka is a favourite of mine.
Yeah, I love Eureka.
I really liked in the recent season, but she got injured. Cornbread the Snack, Jetty.
Yes.
She was great. Jimbo makes me laugh.
Jimbo's
hilarious. I thought Pangina Heels was great, and I can just keep naming.
Yeah, 3 per season. Who is your favourite Rue girl from Chicago?
So I had to have a look up who was from Chicago because I don't really know, but there is a Rue girl who probably wouldn't want to be known as a Rue girl, who is from Chicago, and it's the reason I got into Drag Race myself. Because Nelle would watch Drag Race while I was working, and she was home, and she would be working and watching reality TV. And I would get home halfway through an episode of Drag Race, and Nelle would be like, "Nah, fuck you, we're watching the end of this." So I would watch the end of the episode of Drag Race, and season 4 came on, and Fifi O'Hara. Fifi Box is a terrible radio presenter in Australia.
I mean, no one likes her.
But she has a definite drag name, doesn't she?
It's just her name, though.
Fifi O'Hara said a racist joke that really made me laugh. Because I believed it was delivered with
when she was being Sarah Palin.
When she was being Sarah Palin, and she referred to Latrice and Dita Ritz as the help. And
this is a very well constructed racist joke. Yes,
it was a very good joke. It was very racist, and I shouldn't have laughed at it, and it shouldn't have been filmed, but I did, and I wanted to know what happened, and I still quite like Fifi. She is clearly a bit of a perfectionist, a bit highly strung, and she gets the villain edit, which is really unfair of the publishing.
Yeah, I think my favourite Chicago Queen is the Vixen, who also gets the villain edit.
Yeah, again, highly strung and perfectionist.
But also, like, gets that unfortunate racial stereotyping of, like, angry black woman.
Yeah. And then, I mean, everybody thinks Shea Coulee is awesome, so...
Yeah, I mean, that goes without saying. Do you watch other drag series like Dragula or Camp Wanakiki?
I mean, I really like this queen from season 1, Camp Wanakiki. She was hilarious, but she left way too early, and they should have brought her back. I have watched season 1 of Camp Wanakiki. I have watched a little bit of season 2. I've watched some of Dragula, but they're not as polished shows as Drag Race, and to be honest, there's basically always Drag Race on. I really probably should prioritize getting to them, but I also think, like, if you started watching Drag Race at season 1, you'd be a bit like, what is this? Detox, I love Detox too. Detox, she's great. Awesome.
Yeah, too many.
Yeah, see, I name a season and I'm like, oh, like Willow Pill was fantastic in the last season.
Another one from Kevy. Has any book made you want to or actually vomit?
American Psycho. That book is doing something, and you know what it's like, and it's just repeating itself, and you're just like, oh yay, more violence to depict that capitalism is bad, and you're going to repeat yourself again. Oh look, it's even more horrific. And you basically, I'm like, look, dude, you can't gross me out. I'm fine. This is boring. And I kept reading to hope that he was going to do something more. And then he grossed me out. And it was absolutely revolting. And I just, what the fuck is wrong with Bret Easton Ellis? He's like, oh.
Sam from Paper Not Books asks, do your wigs have names?
I don't have wigs. That's my real hair.
That was an excellent reference, but in the commentary underneath this question, Sam says to Kevy that she's hoping for a Moira Rose response. And I would just like to say, Sam, I'm sorry, but he's never seen Schitt's Creek. Tragic. I do know that both Sam and Ange like Schitt's Creek. So. I think you would legitimately enjoy Schitt's Creek, and I would very happily watch it so you could. It's character comedy rather than situation comedy, isn't it? Yeah. I definitely like character comedy. I really liked Gavin and Stacey, even though that's actually quite a trashy show. It's really good. And, like, who doesn't like Gavin and Stacey? If you don't like Ruth Jones, then you're wrong. James Corden is all right to hate on, but Ruth Jones is not. Another question from Kevy, because she's got all the best ones. What are some books you think I would love? As in Kevy. Kevy's like, I want personal recommendations. Kevy should read anything that is advertised as Disaster Woman. I think that Kevy would really enjoy something like Exciting Times by Nisha Doolan. Oh, My Year in Rest and Relaxation. Kevy would love My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Atessa Moshfegh. Basically, I think Kevy likes horrible people being horrible as a form of comedy. Yeah, but also like things that verge on sensationalism. I've just finished reading Vladimir by Julie May Jonas. Yeah, that sounded like a good description for Kevy. And that book is trash in many of the ways Kevy would love. It is a bad book, Kevy, but I think that you would get much more joy out of it than the average reader. I did. Mm-hmm. Bobby Joe asks, are you a fan of Mcleod's Daughters?
I've never watched Mcleod's Daughters. I'm a bad Australian.
And you don't watch Neighbours?
I've never watched Neighbours. I've never watched Home and Away. I don't actually know which one Kylie Minogue starred in. Or Melissa George. Actually, I do know Melissa George was Home and Away, but I honestly don't know which one Kylie was in.
Gemma Books. You have run out of toilet paper and you had a massive curry last night. The only things to hand are 3 books. Fight Night, Daryl, and Jude the Obscure. Which one do you use?
Is my shower not working?
Yes, your shower is not working. You have to choose a book.
Is there a garden nearby?
No, you have to choose a book.
Look, I can't pick Fight Night because I own it as an audiobook, but the other 2 are physical books. I'm torn here because if I used Daryl, I would have to rebuy it, in which case I am supporting Clash Books, who are excellent publishers, and you should all buy books from Clash Books because they are small press and great. But our copy of Jude the Obscure is so old that the paper is yellow and the text is hard to read, and using it and getting a shiny new copy of Jude the Obscure, I think that has to be the answer.
I thought you were going to pick it because it had more pages.
I mean, it was a big... Yeah, you've got a good point there. There's not even 200 pages in Daryl. That's only enough for a small curry, not a big one.
Question 2. If you were head judge of a book prize, which 5 booktubers would you have on your panel?
This is a good question.
It is a good question.
Because literally, depending on my mood...
Yeah, and you have to, do you pick people that would balance you out and argue with you, or do you pick people who you feel like you're in line with and you could agree easily and get home to have a nice meal?
Or do I just pick people that it would be fun to be in the same room with?
Yeah. Dilemmas.
There are so many good booktubers on Booktube. To limit it to 5 is really hard.
I mean, she's limiting it to 4, really, because if you don't choose me, we're getting divorced.
But now, you have strong opinions. If you disagree with me, the book that I want to win might not win. I think I would pick based on people who have similar taste to me.
So, who are those people?
No, I think I'm going to pick booktubers based on people who don't have the same taste, who read broadly.
Yeah, okay.
I think I would pick Olivia from Olivia's Catastrophe because she reads literally everything and is great at appreciating books for what they're doing.
Yeah, not what she expects them to do.
Not what she expects them to do. And for a very similar reason, Bob the Bookerer, because, again, he's just so talented.
He's capable of finding the joy in anything written on paper.
I would pick Say Kevy because that would just bring joy to have Bob, Olivia and Kevy in the same room. Ange's Bookish Chatter because she is a reading hedonist. I would pick Sean the Book Maniac.
Yeah.
But, I've not picked Jem because she's asked the question, but she would have been somebody I thought of too.
Yeah, she did actually say, if you don't pick me, we can no longer be friends.
I've excluded her.
Because she asked the question. But,
I would of course pick Jem.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's a 7-person judging panel now.
Yeah. That's okay.
That's
you don't have to officially elect me to the judging panel. I'll put my 2 cents in whether you like it or not. Question 3. Name 3 classic books you would happily burn.
Oh, so many classic books. Okay. It has to be Jack Kerouac, On the Road. Oh my God. Has there ever been a worse book written? No, there has not. I could just pick the entire Beat generation and burn them. They're not producing anything to the world. I think the Naked Lunch has to go as well. That is horrible. If we're talking about burning the whole thing, it's probably harsh to include Moby Dick, but if I could just burn selected passages, Moby Dick, I could definitely improve that book by selectively burning it. I feel like Nope. It's got to be Atlas Shrugged. That is a terrible blight on humankind. Nobody should ever hear the name Ayn Rand again. And if you are an Ayn Rand fan, know that she was pro-abortion. She was pro-abortion, Ayn Rand, because babies are looters.
Brian from Bookish, could you list your 5 favourite Australian food/snacks in order from 5 to 1?
in order of 5 to 1. I say I've got to work backwards now. Maybe I should I'm going to say it forwards and then I'm going to edit it to be backwards. In Australia, we have this thing called a snot block. Everywhere else, you're going to call it a vanilla slice. In Australia, we know what a vanilla slice is, but it's a snot block. We also have French vanilla slices. We don't call them French snot blocks. That is essentially pastry with custard in the middle and icing on top. And it is awesome as it sounds.
Is that number one?
That's number one. Number two, Anzac Biscuits. In Australia, biscuits and cookies. These are two different things that are very similar. And an Anzac biscuit is really what we would call a cookie because it's a bit sticky and gooey. Whereas a chocolate chip cookie is a biscuit because it's hard.
Yeah, biscuits are not what they are in America. If you're thinking of those things
that they
like
give
rocks,
to ships.
Yeah, stupid.
It's got oats in it and golden syrup. And when you make it, you put golden syrup in with butter and baking soda. And then you make it fuzz all up. And then you put it through with your dry ingredients, which is just flour, oats, sugar, and coconut. Delicious. And since I've gone vegan, I can't eat either of those two. That's really sad.
We can make vegan versions.
I hope so. I'm having vegan regret now, Brian. I think that every Australian, like if you go into a shop and you like shelf stable stuff, I think you have to have a Tim Tam.
Yes, required.
When you're talking about brand name things that get exported, Tim Tams are numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The Tim Tams are essentially 2 chocolate biscuits with chocolate cream in the middle, dunked in chocolate.
Yeah, and what you do is you bite off opposing corners of the Tim Tam and suck your coffee through it, especially if that coffee has some kind of whiskey in it.
I would go for a chai latte, actually. I think that's how I think that works.
Hot beverage of choice. Suck it through the Tim Tam. It's called a Tim Tam straw. And what happens is the hot beverage...
It's called a Tim Tam slam.
Or it melts the middle and it makes it gooey and delicious. And you have to eat it before it crumbles into your drink. It's just really good.
What else is really Australian? Beetroot on burgers is really Australian.
Yeah, but you could have Vegemite or wagon wheels or mint slices or lamingtons, pavlova.
No, none of these are special.
Fairy bread.
Fairy bread. This is what every kid's party will have. Fairy bread. You get a loaf of white bread. Must be white.
It must be cheap as fuck.
Yep, cheap. None of this sourdough crap. You want the cheap, like, if it's got human hair in it, it's better.
Yeah.
And you put cheap ass marge on it. Not butter, marge.
Yeah.
Cheap ass marge. And then you put sprinkles on your bench, and then you turn
on a plate. What kind of grommet are you?
You turn the bread over, and you've got all the sprinkles on.
Yeah, you press the butter or the marge into the plate of sprinkles so it picks up.
And then you cut it in half, but that half must be cut diagonally, must be triangles.
Yeah, no rectangular fairy bread, you freaking heathens.
Yeah, that's absolute
must.
We have this thing in Australia called shapes. Shapes are essentially a baked savoury biscuit with various flavours in. The most popular one is a barbecue shape.
No,
but I like the nachos cheese.
It's the chicken crimpy, but you're a freak.
A wafer biscuit with MSG and flavouring in it.
Yes, some kind of salty thing. Roving Reader asks, who has fewer subscribers than you that you want the world to know about?
Martha from Self-Righteous.
Yes!
Oh my god, why?
Like my channel, buy my crap. Judah.
I am so...
There's no time to take a nap. Oh, Judah day.
When I think of people who are spending the time, and I think when you make videos, you can see who is spending more time making videos. And just watch one of her videos. She puts so much effort into them. They are so funny. They are so intelligent. I always learn stuff talking to her. I always laugh at her videos. She's just
Yeah, she's legendary.
She's absolute gold, and that she's got 200 and something subs is
bullshit. It's bullshit.
It's an absolute travesty. Please click on her.
Yes. Olivia wants to know, which booktubers will you never miss a video from?
Well, self-righteous. I think I have about 30 booktubers
that you try and keep up with.
That I watch. No, I don't try and watch all of their stuff, but I probably try and watch 50% to 80% of their stuff. I mean, I don't want to give 30 shout outs because I believe in giving minimal shout outs so that people actually go to them. I think when you give 30 shout outs, you people just get lost and there's too many and then they don't go to them. Yeah. At the moment, I am obsessed with Gem of Books. I think she has this great balance between getting her personality in and polishing her editing and...
I thought you were going to say turd. I just really thought you were going to say turd. Sorry, Jem. I don't think you've got a turd on screen. It's not what I think. It's just that really was the blank.
I think she intuitively understands where that line of showing us who you are versus cutting out the arms and
things I don't care about. Yeah.
I could name so many. I love Say Kevy's stuff. I love Olivia's stuff.
Yes.
I don't miss anything that Booktube with Amy uploads, even though sometimes I am like 3 weeks late with them.
Yeah.
And I think that's if honestly, if I'm watching your stuff a week behind and commenting on your videos a week late, it's because I watch all of your stuff. Most Booktubers, I watch most of their videos and not all of their videos, and that's just because...
Yeah, you want to watch the ones that you're interested in.
Yeah, sometimes you're reviewing a book that I have no interest in
reading.
Yeah.
How did you start reading?
Wow. Who said this?
This is Olivia. This is a good question.
This is a really good question because I didn't start reading until I was in my 30s. I mean, that's a lie. I did read as a child. I did read books.
You have... Before you started reading, you read more as a non-reader than most non-readers, but you still weren't.
I was a bookish non-reader.
But
in my 30s, we were running our fruit and veg delivery business, and it was going through a bit of a dip. We had to basically get rid of all of our staff, and I had to do all of the deliveries all over Melbourne for our company. And Melbourne is a large city, and I was driving for 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day plus, and that's boring. So I thought, I'm going to try audiobooks. Nelle said, that's a good idea, and thinking that'll be something to keep me occupied for 2 months. And 6 years later,
you still audiobook 1,000 hours a week.
And I'm obsessed with books. I have found something I really like through it.
Yeah.
And so I've come to reading through audiobooks. I read physical books, I read ebooks, and I read audio, but I still audio more than
anything else. Also, I think that there was a bit of a challenge early on to read a bunch of old classics until you felt like you were well read. Like you wanted to...
Even as a non-reader, I always wanted to read all the classics.
Yeah.
And for anybody who doesn't know, there is a service called LibriVox. It is completely free. Volunteers read audiobooks to you, but the catch is that those books must be in the public domain. So basically they must be over 75 years old, which means that all your Victorian classics, all of your French classics, your Russian classics, they're all there. And there's a lot of them, so
they're free, and a lot of those recordings are actually quite good quality.
Yeah. You just have to learn who is the good narrators and who are narrators that don't work for you. But it's kind of the same as anything, really.
Yeah. Whose writing style do you love the most?
When I really, really appreciate a writing style, it is when somebody is writing in a style that I don't like, and I like that writing style. So a really classic example is Ruth Ozeki, who is a little bit too bombastic for me. She uses second person quite a lot. She blurs the lines between the real world and the fictional world. She does all these things which hurt my brain. She jumps around a lot. And she does it so well that I am just...
Do you love it anyway?
I love it. And I love it more because it's a writing style that I don't often experience because I don't like it. But whose do I love the most? I like authors that can say what they want to say quite simply, but not too simply. I think probably somebody that I really enjoy is a Quakey Maisie.
Yes, that's a good one. I was really surprised you haven't said Thomas Hardy.
Thomas Hardy's writing style.
Yeah.
Thomas Hardy doesn't have a good writing style. I quite enjoy getting lost in Thomas Hardy's meandering,
He's wandering through the countryside.
Yeah, he's sort of... The way he says nothing is very beautiful.
That's funny.
The reason I love Hardy is not his writing style, is what I was trying to say, rather than
he's got a shit writing style, yes.
Yeah. Writing style is not like something I rate out of 10. It's something I rate as pass or fail.
Yeah, I don't think it's as important to you as it is to me. I think writing style is like one of my most important characteristics of a book.
But when it's pretty, I mean, like, is this an Olivia question still?
Yes.
We buddy read Hamnet with Olivia, and that is a beautifully written book whose prose I really liked.
Yes, that was beautiful. So Olivia has one more question.
Yeah.
It's the most correct question. Is Nelle the best?
Of course.
Yes, I am.
Of course.
At everything. Tutankhamun 18. What's the first book you remember making an impact on you?
Throughout high school, I was really bad at English compared to other subjects. I think I got straight C's and I got straight A's in everything else, and I couldn't do it. And in year 12, we studied Bertolt Brecht's The Life of Galileo. And I have a degree in physics. I was always very good at physics. That book was the perfect book for me at the time because I felt smart reading that book because I understood what was going on. I knew Galileo's history. I knew what Galileo was discovering. And the teacher asked me to explain something to the class about the physics of it, and I was able to explain it, and I felt it was the first time I actually felt good in English class because I really feel like I lack that teacher in my background. I think a lot of booktubers will probably have a teacher in high school that they can point to say that this teacher fostered my love of English.
I mean, all of my English teachers, to be fair. I got all of them.
Yeah.
And you got none.
And I had problems when I was in primary school with my speech and my hearing, and I really struggled to spell, and I was always behind in spelling, and it was just like nobody would help me with anything else until I dealt with my spelling, and I only dealt with my spelling when I was an adult and the pressure was off and I didn't have...
Yeah, and it also sounds like a little bit like you got categorized as like a math science kid.
Very much so. I think one of the weaknesses that teachers have is when they see students as a A student, as a C student, and they sort of go, well, you're getting C's, so that's good enough. I never got English. I ended up just getting angry and like rebelling against it, and I needed space from books after school so I could
because you had a shitty experience,
discover the love of them again. And it's not traumatic or anything like that.
It was just shitty.
I just didn't have the teacher to spend the time with me to say, this is why books are cool. This is what you should be doing in your essays and stuff.
Yeah.
And, I never really got that there is no wrong answer, you just have to explain it well sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fundamental to English, I think, isn't it?
I mean, sometimes I wish they'd say that less. Because I feel like the people who are inspired by that don't need you to repeat it over and over again. And the people who struggle with it not being a black and white subject, that doesn't help them. It makes it worse. It's just so not a helpful thing to focus on. Roving reader, what do you wish people knew about Booktube?
That's a good question. Karen actually has quite a few videos on this recently in conversation with Brian. There are probably two things. The time that goes into creating a good video versus a Q&A or a tag video, which, to be honest, this is not going to be a good video. This is us showing
just
you
talking,
just being ourselves, and there's value in that video, but it's not a polished good video. And I think that I really do wish that people would appreciate how much time it takes between an average video and a good video. I am not an expert. I am some guy that likes reading and is passionate about books and is telling you what I get out of the book and hoping that you will have a similar experience to me.
Or a different one.
Yeah. I mean, look, there are definitely people who have the opposite taste to me and should be picking the books that I DNF.
Or, or enjoy different things in the books, and then you can
and I
enrich each other's experience, which is great.
I honestly try and tell you people what is good or bad about a book without giving my view and then give my view. Often little critiques of videos, especially videos that are old, they can be really hard to respond to and
are they really productive? Mel from Fully Booked, which book do you wish you could read for the first time again?
I don't. I think that the best books are rereadable. I really like reading books and knowing that I'm not going to understand everything in that book, but knowing that I'm going to understand enough of that book to get joy and pleasure out of it. Yeah. And then when I have that knowledge, rereading it a second time and going, oh, I didn't realize the postman was a gay man the whole time, and that plays into whatever. Like, you're adding more to your enjoyment and your understanding of a book, and you're giving a deeper knowledge. I think that the books that you would enjoy to read the first time probably rely on a twist, and to be honest,
that's not really your thing.
That's not my thing. And even I have occasionally read an Agatha Christie book, and I have actually enjoyed seeing the red herrings laid.
What's something you're proud of?
Oh, this is like a question that challenges all my inner insecurities. This is actually one of the hardest questions that I could be asked, which is...
You can't think of one thing that you're proud of.
Like, cripplingly insecure deep down and need constant reassurance that I am good and smart and blah, blah, blah.
When we first met, you talking to human beings, I don't think it was hard for you, but you just did it. You very much took a backseat in conversation. You would never have done something like sit in front of a camera and like empty your brain into the public sphere. You were a very quiet man, and over the last, decade and a bit, that has really evolved in you, and your communication has really changed, and I'm really proud of you for that. I think that's a really big sign of growth. I'm really proud of how hard you worked for our business, even though sometimes that was just like joyless and fruitless and horrible. You always put your body and your effort on the line to support me and support us and keep our life rolling. When I was hospitalized and I was sick and you had to like do it all by yourself, and I was useless and emotional and just like a blob of drugged up uselessness. I'm so proud of you for that. You've got so much into this stupid channel that you've turned into a channel.
Actually,
you're reading?
My reading, I know this is such a really stupid thing, but I can read books.
Yeah, that's a good thing to be proud of.
I know that this is such a stupid thing to say on a book channel, but that I can read a book in a day or in a week. If I could bring me a decade ago here and say that you can read a book in a day.
Also, like, the quality of your literary analysis from when you first started reading to now is just... It's night and day.
We went to my parents for breakfast today because it's my sister's birthday.
Yeah.
And we started talking about YouTube, and my brother-in-law said, "What's your channel name?" And he put it into some search, and he's like, "Do you know you're the 2000th biggest YouTuber in Australia?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm famous." And then it turns out that I am between 3 and 4 millionth largest in the world, which doesn't feel as good. But
it was still good. It was so good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you found something to be proud of, because there's lots that you should be. What's your favourite candy?
Veggie bars.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Veggie bars are so good, and I think that they're a German thing and that the whole world has them. But since going vegan, these things, vegan chocolate is better than normal chocolate.
Yeah, legit is. And why the fuck did they ever put milk in it?
Yeah, it's because it's cheaper.
Best place you've ever visited?
Oh, there's so many good places I have visited. I think I will always be blown away by the UK, because that is the first place I visited. And the first city I went to when I was in the UK was York. York is still one of my favourite cities I've ever visited. It is just this quaint little medieval city with a town wall and a big ass hill with a castle on it, and they have this dungeons thing where everybody dresses up in Victorian garb and take you into the dungeons and abuse you. That's hilarious. It's a lovely city, but the joy for me about this is when I went, I was in my early 20s. I was a naive little kid, and this was my first trip overseas, and just been like, this stone is 500 years old, and just going, like, do you know how many generations of people that is? And I'm like, just the culture shock in such it was just, I really, that is an experience that I would erase from my brain and do again. I have been to Gokyo Ri, which is, if you do the Everest trek in Nepal, you can go to base camp or you can go to Gokyo, and then what a lot of people do is go over a pass to go between the two of them. But I went to Gokyo and I got quite sick. I got altitude sickness up there, and I ended up deciding not to go to base camp. But Gokyo Ri is like this really vivid blue lake at 4 kilometers above sea level. But it wasn't as pretty as Scotland, to be completely honest. No, Scotland really blew my mind. Scotland is the prettiest place I've ever been. Cornwall was awesome too, but Scotland, wow.
Those places? Just those ones?
I just fucking love travelling, alright? Like, literally, if we won money,
That's all we would do.
I have a trip that would visit every country. I know the route.
The novel bookshelf. Are you on Storygraph?
I am on Storygraph. I do not use it. I have not logged in for 6 months. At some point, I will transfer over from Goodreads to Storygraph. I do not like Amazon. I hope to do a video about why Amazon is a pack of horrible people at some point. I would like to get myself off Goodreads and onto Storygraph.
Where do you get all your books from? And then she says something creepy about the bookshop that we used to go to in Pakenham.
Oh no, read this. This is...
Yeah, she said, where do you get all your books from? The secondhand bookshop in Main Street Pakenham was really good, but caught fire now, and it's hard to find secondhand books down Berwick and Packy Way.
So this is really specific, but if you are in Melbourne's outer southeast suburbs, that bookshop in Pakenham was great, and we used to run a business in Pakenham. There is a very similar bookshop in Frankston, which is, I mean, if you live in Pakenham, it's quite a trip, but if you are...
Yeah, if you're over Frankston Way, there's a good secondhand bookshop.
So yeah, there's a really good secondhand one. At the moment, I use Libby and Scribd.
And the library.
That's it. Oh, these things really are warm and comfy. Like, literally.
I'm living in mine.
I actually really love these.
Until it's summer.
So, while that was sponsored material, I legitimately think that's awesome.
So, Scott got me the one with the elephants on it. See? It's a mummy elephant and a baby elephant. And our nephew likes this bit because it's got Ras.
Yeah, he calls elephants buzz. That's it. I just want to thank everybody who has watched this video, who has supported me, who has subscribed and liked videos and all of those
shared
things.
And shouted out and, you know, give him a kick up the bum.
Like, honestly, you guys are awesome, and I always love getting comments and likes, and I watch way too much, and I notice when every little thing I notice, and I really appreciate everybody that's supporting me, and has been nice and lovely. And just if you haven't got a Booktube channel and you would like to, I really think that the community and even just the viewers are lovely and supportive, and I would recommend it.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a positive experience for me, and I'm happy, and I'll keep doing it.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.